Hello, all you crystal smugglers out there, and welcome to Undeclared Bajor. My name is Fletcher. About to say hello is Data.
What up?
Today we're going to discuss and review Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 4, Episode 4, Hippocratic Oath, alternate title, Be a Jim Lover, Not a Jim Hater.
Huh. Alright.
It made me laugh anyway. As always, you can expect full spoilers up through the episode being discussed, and a possible small number of spoilers for later in the series, but we'll keep those to an appropriate minimum. Hippocratic Oath originally aired October 16th, 1995. It was written by Lisa Klink, story by Nicholas Correa and Lisa Klink, and directed by Rene Auberjonois.
Yep. So I had to look up Lisa Klink and Nicholas Correa.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I would have remembered an episode written by someone named Lisa Klink, which sounds like a Willy Wonka ticket winner.
Well, I mean, it's like Colonel Klink, but
Sure.
So this is definitely her first because she actually had just completed an internship on the show, and they were like, "Hey, we're going to give you a chance to write a script and see how you do after this internship." So this is her first foray into professional writing, but after this, and this is also her only Deep Space Nine, but after this, she will do 14 episodes of Voyager.
Oh, okay.
As well as, let's see, she has a lot of credits, or a lot of information rather, in here where she's like, she wrote for a bunch of other Star Trek stuff, like Star Trek The Experience, Borg Invasion 3D. She was executive story editor on season 4 of Voyager. She wrote for Earth Final Conflict, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, Roswell. And also was a writer on the New Zealand-based series Hercules: The Legendary Journeys.
Was that Kevin Sorbo?
Yes, that's the Kevin Sorbo
one.
And then, fun note, in 2007, she was a contestant on Jeopardy and won 5 times, earning nearly $100,000 before being defeated in her 6th appearance.
Nice. Well, doesn't 5 times guarantee you a Tournament of Champions comeback or something like that?
I haven't watched Jeopardy in a while.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, she's good on you, Lisa Klink. So she's out there winning money. And Nicholas Correa, on the other hand, it says he was a writer involved in the writing of 3 episodes of Deep Space Nine and Voyager, being Hippocratic Oath, the teleplay for Indiscretion, which I think is the next episode, and then a Prototype on Voyager. But he was also a good friend of Mark Alemo.
Oh, interesting. So maybe he was just hanging around set and he was like, what if Dr. Bashir had to help some Jim Hadar?
Yeah. Can I write some stuff, maybe? I'm looking at his IMDb page. There's not a whole lot of anything in particular except for 28 episodes of Walker, Texas Ranger.
Nice.
Yeah.
I wish them well out there on the picket lines. And Rene Auberjonois. How many this is like his 3rd episode, right?
Yep. Although this is like we talked about last time, this was not the one he was originally going to direct. They swapped it because of Colin Meaney, and apparently he found it very difficult to direct this episode because let's see what he says. He says, "It was a very difficult experience. I really came face to face with my own mortality as a director. I wasn't ready to go because I was still thinking about the other script."
Huh. That's a dramatic way of putting it.
Right? Yeah.
It's like I switched episodes, and then it felt like I was going to die.
I wasn't ready to go. And I don't know if that's in reference to the mortality thing, or if it's just I wasn't ready to start directing. Also, the wiki article has a cool picture of him standing in front with Garanagar, I assume, and pointing, and it looks like Garanagar just staring at him really, you're talking to me right now? But it's you don't get all that much emotion from the Jem'Hadar.
Yeah, right. Gotta stay. He's a method actor, so. But okay, let's recap this episode.
Yeah.
It's a nice and relaxing afternoon at Quark's, or morning or evening or something. Quark serves drinks while Worf stares at a Markalian sitting at the bar, trying to compare him to a mugshot he has on a pad. Which, have we seen any Markalians in a while?
I swear this is like the exact same guy who like tried to make Quark eat his soup. But other than that, I don't remember. I remember we talked about at one point, like, wait, is that one of those soup aliens? And then I think it turned out not to be.
Yeah, I think we had several soup alien sightings. Some of them were positive, some of them were negative.
Mm.
I think we thought the Quark, you obsequious toad alien might have been a soup alien, and it turned out he wasn't. But I think other times we have correctly identified soup aliens, so aka Mark aliens.
Yeah.
Quark comes over and notes that the mugshot is not very good, but Worf counters that it's good enough to tell that guy's a member of a smuggling ring. Quark says, "Oh, well, all are welcome at Quark's. I have a non-discrimination policy, just like Starfleet," which I felt was kind of like a racist jab at
I think
Worf.
it was absolutely racist, yeah. But I mean, Quark has never been... I mean, he's constantly talking about humans and how terrible they are. So it's not like he doesn't make racist generalizations.
True. He is very outspokenly racist against humans.
Or speciesist, I don't know.
Sure, whatever. Species, race, Kira comes in and asks what's up, and Worf expresses his quite understandable confusion of why Quark isn't in prison. But Kira just says, "Don't worry about it, Odo's on top of things."
Yeah, everyone just trusts Odo to do his job. That's fine.
Right. It's like, man, I can only imagine if Worf got his hands on, like, the files of the time Quark let those Klingon mercenaries onto the station, and
right?
Like, this is unacceptable.
Because it is unacceptable.
Right.
Let's be clear.
No, yeah, he would be totally justified. He is totally justified in being baffled at how Quark is just out and about on Deep Space Nine.
But there's an interesting note in here that I honestly don't think I ever consciously noticed, but it says, this episode, beginning in this episode, Worf never speaks of Quark by name, merely referring to him as the Ferengi bartender. He continues to make this reference throughout Deep Space Nine's run.
Huh.
So, like, he never says Quark's name, I guess, which I was just like, really? Okay.
Huh. Interesting. Meanwhile, continuing Captain Sisko's policy of exploring the Gamma Quadrant just to flex on the Dominion, Chief O'Brien and Dr. Bashir are flying in a runabout to or from somewhere for some reason. I don't remember.
They were... Man, what was the reason? Dang. Hold on.
They're there to detect a mysterious thing on their sensors.
Are they at a conference or something? Let's see.
No, they're in the Gamma Quadrant. They were doing some kind of survey of something. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. I don't even think it says in here, so... hold on, no. Medical officer's log. I've concluded a biosurvey of Merrick 3 in the Gamma Quadrant. Yeah, okay. There you go. Yeah, survey. You were right.
O'Brien vents about Keiko not letting him have a workshop in the bedroom, and I have to say I kind of have to side with Keiko on this one.
Yeah.
And then there's a really weird fit of the not gaze that we go through for a second, which we'll just skip on by.
I mean, Julian makes a decent argument, but it's clearly like an excuse where it's just like, if anything, by spending your free time in the bedroom, a room to associate with Keiko, you're like showing how much you miss her.
No, that's bullshit.
And I was like that's clearly a big stretch, but I also think it's a decent argument. Like, as good an argument as you're gonna find for this situation.
I would not try bringing that up with Keiko.
Yeah, that's fair.
Does she still have that arboretum in the cargo bay?
I don't think they ever actually made that. Like, because
he should just make a workshop in there.
Oh yeah, in the cargo bay. Yeah.
Because apparently the cargo bay, something's broken in there anyway. So. Then, as always happens when flying a runabout through the Gamma Quadrant, something pops up on sensors. What is it? Who cares? Someone having engine trouble or something. It leads them to an isolated planet where, as expected, they are quickly shot down or something and forced down to the surface.
No, I like how we find out these guys are here trying to hide, but whatever the thing from their engines is that was detected was detectable like really far away.
Yeah. Yeah, Goranagar has a little bit of an upset moment about that.
I don't blame him.
But they go outside and we learn that this is a stinky planet. And as we will soon learn, it is also a sweaty planet. And I don't know if this is a genuine sweat or if they just had somebody with that sweat spray bottle standing by all the time.
Yeah, the thing doesn't mention like where this was filmed or anything. I just assume it was on set. So.
Yeah, it all looked like on set, so I don't know.
So yeah, I mean, they probably weren't like naturally sweating more than usual on set. I don't know.
Unless the AC was broken in the
it just happened to be. And they're like, let's play it.
Yeah, let's use it. Rene Auberjonois, he knows how to make lemonade out of lemons.
Yep.
Immediately, they are ambushed and taken prisoner by a squad of Jem'Hadar. Their leader, Goranagar, has apparently graduated from the Gowron School of Eye Acting. So much so that I actually had to look up whether it was Gowron or not. And it is not Gowron.
It's Tosk.
It's Tosk.
Yeah.
Which, do you happen to have that actor's name handy?
Yeah. It is, let's see. His name is Scott McDonald. And he says that Renee actually requested me for the role, which was flattering.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So he remembered him from that Tosk episode, I guess?
Yeah, I guess so. Or and it says that Robert Foxworth auditioned for the role of Goranagar, but the producers were so impressed with his performance, they decided to save him for a more substantial role in the future when he will play Admiral Layton. Ah,
okay. That's the beardy guy, right?
Yeah, like beardy Admiral dude. He was he played a recurring character on Deep Space Nine. Oh no, I'm sorry. He played a recurring character on Babylon 5, and then he got this like role on Deep Space Nine and went to do that instead. And then they got to some episodes where they needed him on Babylon 5, and they were like, crap. Okay, he died in between episodes or something, and like his first officer will take over.
Nice. Yeah, I was wondering if this is the guy that I had the autograph or that I saw an autographed picture of at the Star Trek exhibit at the Space Museum in Alamogordo. But that is actually a picture of Tom Morga, the Tosk stunt double.
Oh, okay. Yeah, completely different guy.
Yeah, apparently. Anyway, I had to look through my pictures on my phone to see if that was the same guy. Although maybe he was the stunt double in this episode too. I don't know.
Let me see. Hold on. Sometimes these stunt actors are down in the credits. Let's take a look here. Uncredited. Oh, stunt doubles. Tom Morga is stunt double for Stephen Davies. So, hold on. Who's Stephen Davies playing? Oh, he played Aractorol.
Is he the second guy?
I get. Yeah. He's the other guy. So yes, the same guy was a stunt double, but not for the same guy he stunt doubled before.
Nice. I saw that guy's picture in the museum, and I saw him at some point in this episode, presumably. So, whatever that means, I don't know. So anyway, Goranagar sizes them up, taking advantage of Chief O'Brien's snazzy new rank insignia to properly identify his rank. Which almost makes me wonder if they made that for this episode.
I mean, maybe, it's, we know it was new last time, but the last episode was filmed after this episode. So yeah, it does seem.
So that 100% tracks.
Yep.
When Bashir says that he's a doctor, Goranagar's ears perk up, or would if he had any ears. He dismisses his second suggestion to use them for a, quote, tactical exercise, which that sounds fun.
Yeah, no, right?
I actually would have liked that to be an episode, but...
I mean, that's like the most dangerous game episode, basically, so we don't necessarily need that. This, according to producers, this was their Bridge Over the River Kwai episode.
I've never seen Bridge Over the River Kwai, so...
Yes, neither have I. But they have a whole description here where it's like, Bashir is like Colonel Nicholson, played by Alec Guinness.
Huh.
Who effectively helps the, quote, enemy. And I was just, okay.
Is it Bridge Over the River Kwai or Bridge on the River Kwai?
According to this, it's Bridge on the River Kwai.
Okay. I happened to be listening to a podcast the other day where they were arguing about that exact subject.
I mean, you can Google it. There shouldn't be. Oh, but it's based on a book called Bridge Over the River Kwai. That's probably where the confusion is.
So the book is Bridge Over the River Kwai.
Yeah.
The movie is Bridge on the River Kwai.
Yeah.
Why they changed it?
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, so it's like apparently this was a result of two different story ideas. So the first one is like Nicholas Correa was like, "Hey, let's do an episode about the Jem'Hadar trying to get free of their addiction to that drug."
Okay.
And then Lisa Klink had the other idea that was like, I want to do a thing where O'Brien and Bashir are taking opposite sides on a conflict on an alien world. And O'Brien is siding with the natives and Bashir is siding with the non-natives. And the producers are like, no, that's a good idea. Like O'Brien and Bashir on opposite sides. But they didn't like the details. So they kept trying to figure out like that's kind of the Bridge on the River Kwai thing where it's like, you're going to take this guy and he's working with the other side. And they're like, but how do we, what conflict do we put them in that works? And that was eventually Renee Echevarria was like, hey, why don't we put that story with the other story? And then Bashir's, trying to help the Jem'Hadar and O'Brien's against it.
Sure. All right. A little bit of story mixing.
Yeah.
So Worf calls a meeting to complain, or I assume Worf calls this meeting.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone else was calling this meeting.
To complain about the Quark situation. Odo's just like, I'm on top of it, don't worry. And then he leaves, and Sisko reminds Worf that security is not his job anymore. And he's like, don't worry, I won't let it interfere in my duties. At which point, if I was Sisko, I would have been like, okay, stop. I think we need to clarify a little bit more. Like, what's going to happen. But
yeah, that was my first thought too, and then I was like, maybe he just wants Worf to learn his own lesson, or maybe he doesn't like to micromanage what his officers do in their off time, so he's just like, when you're not on the clock, you do you, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like that was a moment to be like, okay, I feel by the way you phrased that maybe you didn't quite get my point. But Sisko's just like,
I've dealt with this long enough.
Yeah. Being held prisoner in a cave, Bashir and O'Brien speculate what's going on. Bashir deduces that the Jem'Hadar need a doctor. O'Brien advises against helping them. Sure enough, Bashir is taken away to some kind of Gilligan's Island science lab. Garanagar starts to explain that Jem'Hadar are addicted to a drug called Ketracel White, controlled by the Vorta. Luckily, Bashir knows about this from the episode The Abandoned.
But we have a name for it finally, so that's good.
Garanagar wishes Bashir to help him find a cure for the addiction so they can escape from the Dominion, especially those horrible Vorta. Which, at this point, have we still not established that the Vorta and that one race of aliens are the same guys?
I don't think we have, because we haven't seen them again at all, have we?
Because I think the last time we saw one was when that guy was pretending to be a founder.
Right, yeah.
And then later it turned out, no, he's not.
I assume that the writers have established who the Vorta are,
yeah.
Now that they're mentioning them regularly, but...
Yeah, I mean, because, the Vorta go way back to that, when they were talking to those Tulaberry wine guys.
Yeah.
And they were like, we talked to the Vorta. And then we met that Vorta who had the superpower of shooting lightning orbs out of her neck or something. But she was pretending not to be a Vorta. I don't know, It's been a weird path of learning who these Vorta guys really are.
It's true.
Maybe we're just meant to have deduced it by now.
We've only seen 3 species from the Dominion. One of them is probably that one.
Yeah. Anyway, so you see, explains Garanagar, 3 years ago, which later in the episode becomes 4 years ago.
Well, the anniversary passed in the middle of the episode.
It's like, it is the 4th anniversary. He crashed on this very planet and ran out of Ketracel White, but amazingly, he did not die, and he never needed the drug again. Using the tried and true logic of correlation equals causation, he determined that this planet must have cured him. But it's not working for his men. He takes Bashir to some soldiers who are suffering from withdrawal. He pokes one of them in the chest and commends him for not falling down, which I thought was kind of a weird... Because he pokes the guy's like, ow! And he's like, well, good job not falling down when I poked you gently in the chest.
Well, he needs to find something nice to say to keep their spirits up,
True.
And it's hard in that scenario.
And he's like, you see, these guys are in pain. You're a Federation doctor, so you don't like pain, right? So help us. And Bashir's like, okay, but I need Chief O'Brien's help. Oh, by the way, says Garanagar, I lied to them about how much white is left. You have 5 days before they figure it out and murder all of us.
Yep.
So that's some interesting strategy there.
I mean, you put the ticking clock down for Bashir, for certain.
Yeah. Then we go to the wardroom of Deep Space Nine to get an update on the Klingon situation. So apparently Gowron declared the failed invasion a victory and just went on to commit various acts of annoyingness against whoever.
Yeah. He's like, okay, I need another victory now.
Yeah. Nobody wonders where Bashir and O'Brien are.
No, because I think it established that they got done early.
Okay. That would kind of make sense. I mean, you'd think they'd, signal their subspace relay in the Gamma Quadrant, but...
Yeah, it's like, we should arrive 2 days ahead of schedule, is what he says.
Okay. I feel like they spend more than 2 days on this planet, but...
Well, because he tells them it's going to be 5 days, and then they get to almost then.
I don't know. But after the meeting, Worf reveals to Odo that Quark has made arrangements to buy a microscanner that can authenticate illegal Tylonian crystals. So, oh no, not Tylonian crystals. Cool, thanks for the info, says Odo. Then walks off, much to Worf's obvious dissatisfaction.
Yeah, he's not happy.
He's like, what?
And the thing is, Odo comes up with his reasoning later for not saying anything at this point, where he's like, I thought your investigation might, you bumbling around investigating obviously would, give them a false sense of security. But also, I don't report to you,
right.
So I don't tell you shit. And I'm like, yeah, but when somebody's potentially going to ruin your investigation, maybe share information. It doesn't mean you report to him. It just means you want your investigation to go well.
I kind of feel for Odo in this situation. Part of me would be like, no, I'm not going to dignify this by pretending that he has a legitimate reason to be questioning me. But
yeah, that's fair.
Practically speaking, he probably should say, look, although he did do as much as he could to be like, look, I'm on top of it. Just let it go.
I mean, really, probably what I would have done at this point, if I'm Odo, not necessarily reveal my whole plan, but just throw in Worf's face that not only do I know that detail that he just said, I know all of this other information from the investigation that I am already in the middle of on this thing. I know 10 times more than you do because this is my job and I know what I'm doing. And you have never even set foot on Deep Space Nine except for that one time when you stopped by here on your way to not find your dad. So, maybe shut up.
Yeah. I kind of wonder at what point he enlisted Quark, though. Because he seems almost, unless he's just putting on a really good act, but he seems genuinely, interested in this new detail about the crystals.
See, in my mind...
Is that the point when he goes to Quark and be like, hey, I know what you're up to. You better play ball.
Maybe. I think, and I have no reason for this, but I think the way that I assumed that it went was that every once in a while when there's something that's Quark thinks is just going to be too hot or too much trouble that he's going to get caught with, he'll go to Odo and offer, hey, this guy has approached me, and so by throwing Odo a bone every now and then, Quark gets away with stuff, and doesn't end up in jail at times.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my assumption, but yeah, there's no support for that.
And who knows what's up with these crystals? Are they blood diamonds or something?
Something like that, apparently. I don't know.
Although I have to say, Odo doesn't seem really very into this investigation at all. When it all goes belly up at the end, he's like, meh, whatever. But yeah, we'll get to that anyway. We're getting ahead.
Yeah.
Back in the Gamma Quadrant, O'Brien and Bashir make a half-assed attempt at doing an Iron Man. O'Brien's plan is quickly discovered when one of the Jem'Hadar accidentally shoots another with the Chief's improvised extension cord weapon thing.
Yeah. He's like, what's this? Oh, that's the thing that I was gonna increase the whatever with. And then he just, like, shoots the other guy.
Yeah. Smooth,
Yep.
Chief. O'Brien is dragged away and Bashir tends to the wounded Jem'Hadar. The injured man is like, just kill me and distribute my Ketracel white rations to the others. But Garanagar is like, no, that's Vorta thinking. And Bashir is impressed.
That's puffin talk.
Yeah. Worf sneaks into Quark's and watches Quark lounge around a while before a guy dressed like Strider comes in and gives him a scanner, which I guess he tests on some test crystals, but not the crystals that he's trying to buy.
Yeah, those test ones were legal, but these other ones...
Well, Worf seemed to think that there was something going on there, because he said, I saw him examine the crystals. So, I don't know if Worf maybe thought he already had the crystals, and then he was using the scanner on his own crystals, or... I don't know. It's a little bit of a confusing plot point, but... yeah, he storms into Odo's, is like, dude, what the heck? And then Odo's like, please just let me do my job.
Yep.
Like, I don't report to you. Bashir scans Garanagar and finds that his body is producing the Ketracel white naturally. Garanagar muses about the Founders. He's fought a lot of people who believe in various gods, but his gods are real, although they seem to kind of suck. Bashir goes back to the cave prison and tells O'Brien his plan to help the Jem'Hadar. O'Brien is like, no, that's a terrible idea. Being free of the Dominion isn't going to suddenly make them nice. But Bashir orders O'Brien to get a gizmo out of the runabout, for once not saying anything about his engineering extension courses. He's like, I don't have the technical skill to do this. Those extension courses are bullshit. Just, can you please go do it for me?
Well, he's busy doing medical stuff, so, you know, that O'Brien is the right. Tech guy. You go do that.
Well, he explicitly says, I don't have the technical skills to do it myself.
That's true. Yeah.
So I have to order you to do it.
And, the relationships get intense here with Bashir constantly having to pull rank on O'Brien.
Yeah.
And I like how the episode calls it out at the beginning that, O'Brien's rank indicates that he is, like, the more experienced, more dangerous one. But Bashir, like, one of the lower ranks, gets to order him around because he's an officer. And so it's like, in case, audience, you've forgotten this, let's establish it at the beginning.
Because they always call each other by their first names. Anyway, whether Bashir intends for O'Brien to use the opportunity to try to escape is not clear, but that's what O'Brien does. He shoves a wire in a hole and beams out into the middle of the jungle. Bashir can't find anything on the planet that would cure someone of Ketracel white addiction and suggests to Garanagar that maybe he's just naturally like that. Then the second comes up to announce that O'Brien has escaped. Garanagar wants him brought back alive, which doesn't please the second one bit.
Nope.
Well, I guess I gotta go keep those guys from killing him, says Garanagar, and he leaves. Quark sits down with the Markalian smuggler guy and examines his crystals. Then Worf bursts in with a phaser and is like, aha! And then he grabs the bag of money, which immediately starts melting. He's like, what the? And then the bag turns into Odo, who's like, dude, I was going to track this guy back to a smuggling ring. Oh, well, whatever.
I was going to crack the entire smuggling ring and presumably leave Deep Space Nine without its security chief for a while I, like, shape-shifted my way up the ranks of this Markalian smuggling racket.
I think you've forgotten about a little guy named Michael Eddington.
Oh, yeah, true.
I mean, he's easy to forget, I'll admit. But yeah, Worf gets a look on his face like, oops.
Maybe I should do my job and let other people do their jobs.
Am I the asshole?
Yes.
Then, in the funniest moment of the episode, a Jem'Hadar guy thinks he's found O'Brien, but it's just the tricorder laying on the ground. He grabs it, which triggers a tree branch to swing in his face and knock him down. Which is just a beautiful shot. Just,
no.
Allowing O'Brien to run in and yoink his gun. O'Brien rushes to the lab to rescue Bashir, but Bashir is like, well, if you want to go, go, but I'm staying. And O'Brien is like, okay. Psych! And shoots the scientific research.
Yep.
He's like, suck it, research. Apparently, Garanagar was watching invisibly or something. He unshrouds and takes the two back to the runabout. The second guy is there and is like, Oh, great, now we can kill them. And Garanagar is like, I will do the killing of you, and shoots him. Well, you guys can go, he says. I'm gonna run around shooting my guys so they can die in battle. You're a soldier, O'Brien, you explain it. And at first O'Brien's face seems to say, I'm a little confused myself, to be honest. But he just mumbles something about being their leader so that him and Bashir can get in the runabout and just get off this planet. So I don't think I ever encountered this exact situation during my time in combat, but back in Sisko's office, the captain is working on his Dramatis Personae clock. Still not a care in the world about his 2 missing men, when Worf comes in to tell on himself about the crystal bust fiasco. Sisko was like, yeah, I know, no biggie.
I already know. Yeah. Everybody knows.
You just gotta get used to not being on a starship anymore. Lots of shades of gray around here. And that Quark, he's a shade of gray.
It's a story that was going to have to happen sooner or later on this show. And so I don't mind them getting it out of the way right up front.
Yeah, it's a pretty obvious character story for Worf.
Yeah.
About, it's like, you're not the security officer. You're not on a starship anymore. You gotta adapt to this new job.
Yep. Very different.
O'Brien and Bashir fly home. Kira welcomes them back without asking where they were, and they don't mention anything about it. Bashir is a little sore about O'Brien repeatedly disobeying his orders, destroying his research, and dooming those nice Jem'Hadar guys to a horrible death. But he's like, I'll get over it in a few days. O'Brien is like, cool. Then the runabout lands on the station in a shot with really wonky perspective. The end.
Yeah. I didn't notice that, but I'll take your word for it.
I don't know, maybe it was just me, but it's like, the runabout and the station did not seem to be on the same scale or something.
Speaking of runabouts, this is the first episode that the runabout is referred to as Danube class.
Ah, yes.
So
I've totally lost track of which runabouts are destroyed and which ones are on the station. One of them is presumably the Rubicon.
Yeah, that was the last new one, right?
Yeah, because they had to order from supplies or whatever a new runabout, and Sisko wanted to call it the Rubicon.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember if they said what this one was called or not.
Hold on. Let me try to find out here. Yes, they are on the Rubicon.
Oh, okay. Come on, Rubicon, don't get destroyed.
Okay, so we got some interesting... Ronald D. Moore, talking about the Worf storyline, is he used to be a cop, more or less, on the Enterprise, but it's not going to be like that anymore. We wanted to keep emphasizing this is not the next generation. The station does not work like the Enterprise. Worf is going to have some trouble fitting in, but he'll learn.
Yeah.
Jake does not appear in this episode yet again.
Sure. Man, that's just got to be the easiest, main character job.
Right?
Ever.
Yeah. Ronald D. Moore did an uncredited punch-up after the script was done, and so it's got Lisa Klink quoted about the final episode. In 2021, she's talking about the episode, and she says, when I found out that Renee Auberjonois would be directing my episode at the production meeting, and then a few days later we began shooting, and I was super pleased about it. I visited the set a couple times, but didn't talk much with him because he was busy. On Deep Space Nine and Voyager, the writer typically didn't have much contact with the director either before or during production, but I was very happy with how the episode came out. I thought Renee did a great job bringing out the friendship and conflict between Bashir and O'Brien. I can't think of anything I would have changed about the episode.
It's like Ronald D. Moore was like, can we have a guy get hit in the face with a tree branch?
Let me see if it mentions specifically what if any changes he made. No. She says that she wrote the first and second drafts, and then he provided an uncredited polish. Here, one of the reviews is although this isn't quite Bridge on the River Kwai, the episode does succeed in putting Deep Space Nine's favorite buddies in direct conflict and placing Bashir in a strong, proactive position.
I mean, it does... it does succeed in telling a story about the Jem'Hadar. Yes, that stuff did happen in the script.
There's a mention that previously, before Shadow Play in Season 2, O'Brien was called Senior Chief Petty Officer, but since Shadow Play, he's been just Chief Petty Officer.
Huh.
I don't think that's an implication that he got demoted. They're just saying it differently.
Yeah. senior chief petty officer seems like too much stuff. Like,
yeah, too many words.
It's like you're the chief, but then there's a guy on top of the chief.
Well, so apparently you've got the 3 different chief petty officer insignia shown in the wiki. There's chief, there's senior, and there's master.
Ooh, is this in the real world or in Starfleet?
No, this is showing Starfleet insignia. This is from the 2250s to the 2260s specifically, when Sergei Rozhenko spied Miles O'Brien as transporter chief on the Enterprise D. He was excited to meet another chief petty officer.
Huh. I think the only note I have that we haven't touched on before we get into ratings is I find it kind of weird that at no point does O'Brien ever seem to even consider obeying Bashir's orders.
It's true. He's very sure of himself.
There's like no conflict at all. He's like, I am not doing anything this guy says if it's going to get me killed.
Well, and the thing is, it really, along those same lines, it does bother me that he doesn't really consider Bashir's point at all. Like, because Bashir has a point. Figuring out how to break the Founder's hold on the Jem'Hadar could be very positive. Like,
yeah, absolutely. That would cripple the Dominion if they could do that.
Yeah, and O'Brien's like, well, you don't know what would happen. Maybe they'd just run around killing people willy-nilly. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but then they would still, the Dominion would not be able to organize an attack against you. So, yeah, it seems really weird to me that he's so dismissive of this idea that could completely change the fabric of their new enemy.
Yeah. I forgot to write it down, but it also really bothered me that Granagar was never like, take a sample of my blood with you and continue the research. Or something like that. That
was my thought too, when he's like, Bashir's like, if I can get another sample of your blood, and he's like, nah, I got stuff to do.
It's like, I gotta go most dangerous game all my soldiers.
Yep.
He just walks into the jungle and turns invisible. Title review. Hippocratic Oath.
I think that, like, philosophically, it makes sense because of the conflict here. But one of the things about the episode that I find a little strange, especially considering the title, is Bashir never comes at it from that angle. Like, Granagar tries to call him out, be like, you're supposed to not like when people suffer, right? So you'll help us. But in all of his arguments with O'Brien, he's never like, I'm a doctor and I'm required because of this oath that I took to help people in trouble. He's like, well, no, think about how this could be good for us.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess I felt the implication was pretty strong that was... Because the main point of the episode, right, is that Bashir, we see he's a doctor and a healer first, and anything else second.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't want to hear about O'Brien's, like, long-term ramifications or anything like that.
Don't you want to free a whole people from slavery? And O'Brien's like, whatever.
Yeah. So, I think it works for the episode.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah, although there is no actual mention of the Hippocratic Oath in the episode, but I think most people understand what that is and how it ties into the episode.
I just feel like if you're going to use that as the title, you could have gone even just a little bit more into the actual... Even when it's like the guy is hurt and Bashir's like, no, we'll have to get him to a medical facility. And he's like, no, just kill me. Bashir doesn't try to argue with it. Like, no, I won't let you kill this man. He's just like, okay, you guys do what you're going to do.
I think he does try to step in for a second. Then someone's like, this is not your business. And he's like, okay.
Okay, that's fair.
Anyway, okay. So episode ratings for Hippocratic Oath. How would you rate this episode?
Okay, so B story first. Like I said, it's a story that was going to have to happen, and I think they did a fine job with it. Like, sure. I didn't think it was great, but I was like, I get it. You did about as well as I think we could expect with how low stakes you were going to make it. They could have done the same story and made it higher stakes, but they wanted it to be the B story, so fine.
Like there's a serial killer on the loose. Odo's not doing anything about it.
Well, and I mean, if you wanted to really go into it and make it an A story, you could have made it an A story because Worf, as security chief or whatever, he wasn't an investigative type guy,
Yeah.
but Odo is. And so you could have like highlighted these differences and why Odo is the better person for this place this time than Worf would be.
Worf's role was always like, okay, we're having Romulans coming aboard, like lock up all the secure stuff.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it could have been better, but it was fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. A story I felt was a really strong idea to put like Bashir and O'Brien like philosophically at odds with each other, and from the very beginning they establish it's like this is the O'Brien who has fought in wars and takes this sort of situation means something very different to him than it does to Bashir, who looks at it completely differently. It's like, yeah, we've been captured by enemy soldiers, but Bashir doesn't actually care about that part as much. They give him a medical thing to do, and he wants to help and do medical things. And O'Brien's looking at like, no, we are soldiers who have been captured by the enemy. I have experience with this kind of thing. We need to do something. And so, and you know, this is also still a different O'Brien from the one that we knew on Next Generation. They're really showing with doing this kind of story with him. They're really showing the depth that they've added to him, because I went back and watched the episode of Next Generation where you find out that O'Brien, you know, was in the war against the Cardassians and he doesn't like Cardassians and
right
stuff like that. And even there, it's very more, it's Next Generation. It's more high-minded. It's more, it's a lot less like gritty, although there is a little bit of grittiness in it. Yeah. But anyway,
that has more to do with his like natural distrust of Cardassians than
it's true. But so yes, I felt like that they told an interesting story while really selling the identities of these characters, using who they are to naturally create the conflict between them. I thought that was really well done. I like that a lot. And I also like that we're doing that and advancing the bigger story arc by bringing in the Jem'Hadar. We're finally putting a name to that drug they're addicted to and showing some personality in them. I feel like it undercuts a little bit the previous stories that we've had with them, where it's just like, oh yeah, these are not guys who are going to be swayed. You're not going to be able to negotiate with them. They're scary because they're so 100% dedicated. And in this one, it's like, well, really, they're kind of not though. Yeah. So I feel like it undercuts that a little bit. But overall, I thought it was an excellent story. They really used the characters well. And then, like I said, B story, it's pretty good. I think that it is a very solid commander for me.
Okay. So my first note for this episode is the episode is perfectly watchable. I felt like Garanagar was a kind of compelling character. Maybe they could have taken him a little deeper or something. He had a few good monologues, like the "my gods kind of suck" stuff and stuff like that. To me, the Bashir and O'Brien dynamic just feels off.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. I just don't feel like, with the progression we've had of these guys in their relationship, that this feels very true. I don't object to like them having these different philosophical viewpoints, but just that they immediately are both 100% dug into their positions, with like no room to negotiate or talk things out, felt a little untrue to me. But
yeah, you would hope that like friends would be more willing to hear each other's perspectives and compromise or something. Yeah,
or especially, they've probably had they've been friends for a while. They've had lots of discussions about stuff. They can kind of understand where each other is coming from.
Yeah.
But just to be like, hey, I feel this way. It's like, oh my God, that's just totally crazy. I'm not even going to think about it for a second. It's like, okay, it's a high stress situation. You never know how you're going to perform in those types of situations. But
and you mentioned how like O'Brien is just like, nah, I'm not going to obey orders. Screw that.
Yeah.
Like not for a moment does he seem to consider obeying orders. And so that does seem a little bit weird.
Yeah. Especially in previous times when we've seen him like in the Storyteller, constantly like being deferential to Bashir as his superior officer. But yeah, this time it just doesn't enter into his mind at all. My note is the Worf plot is kind of charmingly dumb. So it's like, yeah, I kind of like it. It's not like Casablanca or whatever, but yeah, what is? And then, I mean, I did pick up on the point. What I felt was the main point of the episode was to show, like, what Bashir's priorities are as a doctor versus a Starfleet officer or whatever. But I felt that was kind of made sloppily. Overall, I give the episode a lieutenant commander.
Okay. I think, regardless of whether, you agree more with my or your rating on this one, I think we can probably agree that this season has started out real strongly so far.
Yeah. Although, when I was in IMDb looking for if Garanagar and Gowron were the same guy, I did get spoiled that the first 2 episodes of the season are the top rated of the season on IMDb. So
I think they're our top rated so far. So
yeah, well, that's true, but we'll see if we ever feel it reaches those heights again.
I'm gonna go look at the episode list for season 4.
There's a long season ahead of us. We can.
It's true. Yeah.
Like we definitely don't always agree with IMDb.
Oh, that's 100% accurate. So, we do not.
IMDb, which thinks that Dax was just the greatest thing ever. Anyway, so yeah, we'll see.
Yep.
Any final thoughts before we wrap this one up? Final tangents.
Final tangents. I've been trying
to go on any tangents. Does Jabba the Hutt have sex with Princess Leia?
I've been trying to find a good list of all the runabouts and what happened to them.
Yeah.
But
someone must have kept track of this.
I'm sure, like, I went to the Danube class entry and it has a list of named Danube class ships, but I'm pretty sure I remember somewhere a table with, like, this one was destroyed on this date in this episode and this one, so I'm trying to find, like, that again, which I think is out there somewhere, but
yeah, it must exist.
Danube class standard design appears in 71 episodes of Deep Space Nine and 1 episode of The Next Generation.
Nice.
And then Danube class with pod appears in 8 episodes of Deep Space Nine, which that's not many, and 4 episodes of The Lower Decks.
So is that tracked separately from regular Danube class? Like, is that not included in the count of the Danube class appearances?
Oh yeah. Under the appearances header, it's broken down standard design and with pod.
Okay. Nice.
Let's see. The first appearance with pod is season 1, episode 3, so pretty early on. Armageddon Game, Paradise, the Maquis, the Jem'Hadar. So the pod shows up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times up to like the end of season 2, and apparently we will not see the pod again until the end of season 5.
Huh.
And then one more time after that. So they just don't use that pod for a long time.
It's like some prop guy is like in the shop and he picks up the pod. He's like, "Hey, what's this thing?" Yeah, I forgot about that. Slap that on there. Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, get that going.
Anyway, I guess we'll call it there.
Okay.
If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Don't forget to check the description. Maybe something interesting in there. Link to the Sanderlanche.
Yeah, sure.
At the very least.
So, apparently, they have Danube class on other like ships and stations and stuff. Do you think they all are named after rivers on Earth? And at some point, do we run out of those?
That's a good question. It's a very good question.
I'm sorry. Go. Keep going with your wind up.
Interesting thoughts in the middle of the sign off. But I'm Fletcher, about to say goodbye as Data.
Bye.
Until we meet again, keep that blood wine warm and the prune juice chilled.